All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started here. So, today I'm going to be talking about the tickers that I like to have on my watch list, but I want to talk about my watch list as well. So, we'll be going through that here in a second. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me, and it looks like you guys can hear me. So, let's go ahead and once again get started. We'll be talking about my tickers and what I like to have on my watch list. All right. So, you know what's funny about it? It says 30, right? I'm going to be honest with you. So, 30 names on the list. It sounds like a lot, right? But I actually have about 50. All right. So, I have about 50 names here, and I'll add more if I need to. I don't have a particular set of names that I like to look at. I really don't. What I will tell you is that I've had basically the same names in here for many years. All right. And you can see when you're looking down the list, there's a couple things that I want to point out that are very important for me. And the first one would be the fact that, I have the add in here, I have advancers in here. I have Bitcoin because I always just want to see what's going on there. That's Bitcoin futures. Then I have the oil futures, always ES futures, gold futures, the minis on the NASDAQ, RTY futures, which is the IWM, and then we have the Dow Jones. So a lot of futures in here. I do like to trade futures, and basically I run my portfolio off of how the ES futures are performing. And when I do my analysis, we like to trade off of that analysis, if that makes any sense. And I'll go over that here just in a few seconds with you. Now, you might be wondering, well, what number should I put into the watch list? For me, again, there's not a specific amount. What really is important is that you understand I have a very dialed in process. It's very methodical, it's very sequential, and it doesn't matter what name is in my watch list. What I want to know is if it's setting up and coming into my levels or not. And that's what it's all about. So, this quick, I guess, afternoon session talking about my favorite tickers will be really fast unless you guys have any questions. But for me, it's just about what's hot, and you can always guarantee that the big names are always going to be hot. They give you the most volatility. I'm looking for the bigger run. So some of those names, let's go ahead and freeze the screen here real quick. They're going to be your obvious. We're going to come down here and look at Apple, AMD right now, Amazon. I love Boeing, but it's been pretty boring for a long time now. But it's always on my list just in case. I do like Baba because for me, when looking at Baba, I feel like it's taken a big haircut. So I'm definitely watching that on the daily. I like to watch banks. My favorite is BAC. We make a joke about that. Back that truck up because I do really well when it's time to trade BAC. I love that the options are tight. I love that they're inexpensive. And if you have the right setup, you can get a really nice percentage gain out of trading BAC. So BAC is my favorite when it comes to banks. Moving on down here, you can see this guy right here. This wouldn't typically be here, Chewy, but we did have a setup on that last week. So I just come in here and take that off real fast. Okay. Moving down, Disney's been a big pain in the butt. DIS stands for disappointing, just in case you didn't know that. That is always on my list. Google, of course, always going to be on my list. Moving on down here, J&J, I love J&J. We sold some of that for 40% this morning. Moving down, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Netflix. Love Pins. Pins did us good on our leaps. We made 100% on those. And so I just always have it on watch. So a lot of these, of course, I have the SPY and the QQQ on there. Other than that, you're going to look at Tesla, Walmart, Roku, Shop. Really, again, any name that you want, it all comes down to whether or not your process is sound. Like, what are you looking to trade? Right? I'll give you a good lesson here. So, on my watch list, you'll notice I have something up here called the PMZ signal, and then I have something called trendy edges. Okay. If I double click the PMZ itself, it lets me know if one of these names are trading within the pre market zone. Now, I have a very particular process that we trade the pre market zone out of. And I just want to show you an example of what that looks like today. If you come over to Google, and I was kind of making fun of this name because I really didn't expect it to move as much as it did today. I figured maybe it would take a little bit of time and, heal itself, if you will. But you'll notice if we come over here on the pre-market zone, the way that we load up for the day is that in the morning, it would have signaled over here a yellow. And when it's yellow, it's letting me know that it's in the PMZ. And my PMZ trade is really straightforward. You look at the overall trend and you can come up here to the banners and you can see that it's been extremely bullish. So what I would be doing is looking to buy the dip or to take this trade out of the PMZ. Once it moves out of the PMZ, we look to go long and you look to trade that into the automated levels that I have here. I just want to show you how beautiful that this can work out. The risk today was only about 18 cents. And of course, we would round that up to at least 25 cents. But you could see the significance of the move out of the PMZ and then look at the risk to reward. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to say this over and over. I don't care what names we put in here. What I care about is whether or not it is setting up for a big move. And I'm really open to trading anything. Okay. As long as the options, okay, long as the options are nice and tight. Everybody understand that? So between the bid and the ask, I want the options to be pretty tight. I don't want to get in here and get myself in trouble with trying to take something that has really, really wide bid and ask. Okay. So just want to make sure I make that clear. Hi, Earl. How are you? All right. So again, let's just kind of go through this and you guys will see that as we move down here. Over here, I could double click on the trendy edges. And this is kind of great. We had some traders who bought the indicators here recently and they were like, well, what do I put into the watch list? And listen, put anything you want in here because for example, right here, right now on the ES futures, we're going bid over the PMZ, right? It's a setup for me. I'm long over the PMZ, and I would be looking for price to move up here into this zone that we mapped out this morning. All right, that's what we're looking for. So around 42.14 to 42.15. All right, it's just a setup, and that's it. I don't care about the name. I want to know before I take the trade, is it worth the risk of 2 points? And a potential, if I were to go long over 42.08 and hit 42.15, does it make sense from a risk to reward scenario? And for me, it does. For you, it may not. Okay. It just kind of depends who you are. All right. Everybody understand that? So moving on, here's the next name. Here's Spy, going to be the same thing. Here's Boeing, right? So if I come over to Boeing, the more the merrier, really, because the way that, see, not every name sets up, folks. Not every name sets up. But the more that I put in my watch list of names over the years that I really like to trade, the more opportunity that I get to take that trade. Hey, what's up, CJ? Hi, Sarasota. Sarasota, love Sarasota. So I just want to make sure, do you guys have any questions around that or do you understand where I'm coming from? Now, I understand that some people like to only concentrate on 3 or 4 names. Now, I've been in this business long enough to understand that, believe it or not, sometimes those names they come into a digest period where they just kind of move sideways. And if that's the case, what do you do then? Right? It's okay to have 50 names here and only concentrate on 3 or 4. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your favorite names are coming into an area where it's digesting, or maybe you only like to go long. I know a lot of traders that don't like to short, they don't like to buy puts. So let's say that we're moving into an area of supply and we expect the price to come down. Well, what do? Right. So this is why I give myself a lot of opportunity to look around the market and say, okay, well, my favorite names might not be setting up, but maybe there's something else currently that I can trade. And again, if the risk to reward is there, I'm looking at taking the trade. It really is that straightforward. Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to watch list is be careful. I don't know how this happens, but Thinkorswim somehow um, your names will disappear off of your watch list, and that may not sound like a big deal, but it really is when you miss out on a big trade and you think to yourself like, well, how did I miss out on that? And you come across here and you take a look at it and it's no longer there, right? So always kind of double check in the morning, take a quick look, come down here, see what's going on, and you may notice that some of them are missing. All you have to do is scroll all the way down, and then you plug your name in down here. Let's just say it's like NOW. You click it, and boom, it's there. A couple other things that I want to show you guys. Some of you who are newer traders may not understand this. You can click on the symbol, and it will change the order of the names itself. Okay. And if you have a scanner like mine that's in the watch list, so let's go ahead and outline this right here. If we do something like that, and let's say that you have scanners like I do, you can double click on these and that will line them up perfectly for me. So what this is right here, it's identifying supply and demand for me so that I don't have to go through the charts and manually look. And then on the PMZ, like I said, if I double click here, it just brings them to the top. If for some reason you bring things to the top and you're like, I don't like the way this is set up, you can just come over here and click on symbol and boom, it goes right back to normal. Okay. Yeah, so Earl, great question. So coming out of the PMZ, so for my specific setups, we can go over that real quick because I feel like we have a lot of time. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes going over my watch list. I think I've already done that. It's pretty straightforward, okay? But before I move on, just really quick, this is kind of a spin-off on the last video I did last week, and that was how I set up in the morning, how I get ready. Don't forget what you could do is come over here to Trade Flash on Thinkorswim or whatever that you use. Maybe John Carter came out with something, or Taylor or Cody, or somebody has like a list of their favorite names. You can go ahead and plug those in as well. That's honestly what I would recommend. We have some great traders here, and if they got something on their watch list, put it in there. For me, if somebody has something on their watch list I like, I'll put it in there. And if my specific strategy that I'm working on sets up, it's going to let me know, and boom, I can go right to it. Now, this is the trade flash right here. Okay, this is the trade flash. Notice really quick that shop came up this morning on it. I could have easily noticed that shop was on here. All right, and if shop wasn't here, I would make sure that I type it in. I could come over here and click on it. And for me, folks, I either trade it out of my PMZ or I trade it off of a trendy edge. I want to show you the value of this. And once again, you could see here, this is the PMZ. This morning, it dipped right into the PMZ and then it blew to the upside. And your risk today, folks, I can't make this stuff up. Your risk was 6 cents. That is absolutely insane because you can see for the trigger long, going long over the PMZ high, which was 60. We pushed up to 64. Okay, that's $4 with a risk of 6 cents. That's absolutely crazy. Listen, maybe you have it on your list, maybe you don't. That's the thing about trading, right? Sometimes you feel like you're missing out because the names that you pick are super slow while everybody is in something. Just be patient. Now, I want to get to your question because I love it and I think it's really important. So, Earl says, so when prices are moving out of the PMZ, what is your preferred instrument of trade? Honestly, Earl, it's anything. Once again, now I do like high beta names. I like names that like to move, such as Tesla, Google, Amazon. Although a lot of these were sideways for a long time, you're starting to see a lot more expansion and range with their prices. Wouldn't you agree? So just take names that you really like that are moving and apply those to your watch list. Now, I'm hoping that all of you guys have a strategy, right? A nice strategy that you use. If not, I'll be happy to teach you mine. But if you don't want to learn supply and demand and some of these levels, that's okay too. But the biggest thing is that when it sets up, I want you to be able to come in here and be ready. Okay. What do I like to trade? I just like straight up directional, or okay, on higher time frames, I like to use my supply and demand levels or the automated levels. You could sell credit, you could buy debit spreads, we could do butterflies, all that type of good stuff. Okay? So pretty straightforward. All right. Does that kind of answer your question or no? Yeah, Earl, I like to trade all sorts of different strategies. I just want to make sure you understand that. I do trade futures. I do trade I don't trade forex even though this system works very well on forex. Um I trade options, I trade equity when the volatility in the market is pretty extreme and premiums are really, really high. Then I want to be careful. Then I'll buy some equity. Okay. Which is really nice. All right. So let's talk about, since we're here for a few minutes, after we got our watch list, I want you to understand that news is a catalyst that pushes price into supply and demand. So, whatever process that you are using currently, I don't want you to think like the normal retail trader. Retail traders rely a lot on news, right? And what news is really there for is that it creates fear and greed. I want you to really, really digest this, folks, because once you learn this, it can turn your trading around. If anything, it's not a guarantee that you'll be profitable, but I do feel very, very strong that you will become a better, consistent trader, and you will use that news as a value added instrument to help you in your trading. The cool thing about supply and demand is that you're able to identify these zones and these levels before price gets there. Let me show you an example. So this morning on ES futures, we came over here. I did the same thing I always do. Um, I did a video over the weekend called the broad market analysis. Okay. And you guys can go up there. It's for free. I actually pushed it right here in this training room for you guys to watch over the weekend. And I want you to go towards the end of the video. And if you didn't, go back and take a look. It's pretty awesome. It'll open your eyes. Everything we do is in advance. What you will find is that most trading strategies, they are a lot of high insight. Does that make sense, folks? That is the difference. That is the edge between supply and demand versus most strategies. Is that we don't come in here and tell you, okay, so yeah, price kind of came down and then it went up and then I like went long and then you know what I mean? You'll start to catch on after you've been in this field for a long time. The difference is that we locate these levels. In this case, we located these on Sunday, pushed it out in a video, gave you the levels, and then what I do is I teach you how to trade at these levels. Does everybody understand that? So how you trade these levels is what is important. And the fact that you could do this before the market opens is what is most important. I want you to be able to win back your time and be able to trade this stuff with confidence. It takes a while. I wouldn't say that it's easy because, again, it is the opposite. The market makers, institutions, big players, they are using fear and greed to create basically the wrong way of thinking around trading. I know it looks easy and trivial and high insight, like, oh, yeah, you just buy the bottoms and you sell the tops. If anyone's telling you that, run. It's not easy. All right. But what can be easy is identification of zones and then having a system that's methodical around those levels. And that's what I want you guys to learn. Okay. This again, folks, this zone was here before market open. This zone was here before market open. We waited. We waited for that trade. Now, I personally lost a little bit on micros and then I made a little bit over here. I'm not trying to make $1 million. It would be fun if I did in one day, but I am profitable. I'm making good trades. We're doing great. We had, I think Tesla went up towards 200 something percent today. We got out of that and then bought some more Tesla, trimmed those. J and J, we went 40+% this morning. Trimmed those, just kind of hanging on to half of that position right now as it kind of settles out and figures out what it wants to do. But I want to show you how to win back your time. All right. And identify these levels and then be able to trade them. Yeah, just buy the dip, Aaron, right? Just buy the dip, man, right? Who can't do that? All right. So let's talk. We have about 10 minutes here. I want you guys to ask me some questions about supply and demand. Is there anything that you don't understand or something that doesn't resonate with you? I would really love to try and help you out for a few minutes. Um, Anybody have any questions out there that you might be wondering, like, hey, is this the strategy for me? Or, hey, yeah, sure, it looks cool, but, you know, how do you trade it? Or maybe, like, just ask some questions if you have some. Okay. If you don't, that's okay too. But what I will tell you is this: I've been around for a decade, and to this day, I don't know of anything that is better than supply and demand. Now, there's a lot of amazing tools that you can use in conjunction with supply and demand. And one of my favorites that I've come across is the TTM Squeeze Pro. And I mean that. And to be very transparent with you folks, when I came here back in July as a guest trader, no longer am I a guest trader, by the way. I live here and work here with the Simpler team. Okay. So this is my home. I am a Simpler trader. That's who I am. We kept the name Trendy John. But I want you guys to understand that in order for me to speak the language here at Simpler, I needed to adopt to something, right? And I adapted to the TTM Squeeze Pro. And it took me about 2 weeks to look at it and go, okay, how is this going to work with my system? Right? That's all I care about. Just being very honest with you. All I care about is supply and demand. Everything else is just a tool that I could put on my tool belt and kind of say, okay, like if I run into, some questions or I need a little bit of help in this scenario, what could help me out? And funny enough, on the TTM Pro for me, I don't look at the squeeze, right? I'm not looking at it and saying, okay, it's about to squeeze. I'm about to take a trade. Matter of fact, what I'm using is the histogram. So it's all about the histogram lining up to my demand and supply zones. When they line up, man, it makes a perfect match in heaven. And I really, really love to incorporate it. And you guys can see the proof of concept when I show you these charts. Again, I can't make this stuff up, guys. I gave this over the weekend. You see it touched here to the tick. It pushed up. It hit 50% of the supply zone, came right back down. This is what we want to see. Okay. Now, the histogram is very, very important here. When we're coming down into demand, I'm looking for that yellow, right? And when we're pushing up into supply, I need to see that we're actually, the buying pressure is coming off depending on the color of the histogram. Okay. And I use multiple time frames to help me out when we get to those levels. Now, why is it that most people have a hard time trading, right? Why is it that most people have a hard time trading? Did it ever dawn on you that the news, the media coverage, the Fed heads talking, earnings, all of these things are a catalyst that creates, if you think about it, a balance and ebb and flows in the market? If we didn't have any of that, the market would probably just continue to go up and up and up and up, and to the point where nobody could afford to really trade anymore, right? So if you look at this, believe it or not, folks, fear comes into demand zones and greed is pushed into supply zones. I want to be able to teach you guys how to think like the bigger players. That's what I do every single morning when we line up. I try to give a great blueprint. I try to go over this over the weekends and really help you guys out. So, like right now, okay, I want to show you an example. So, my concentration right now, while we're completely going sideways, okay, while we're completely going sideways, is the 1 hour chart for today. And I'll kind of show you really fast why the 1 hour chart is important to me. And maybe you guys are able to kind of look at this and go, okay, I can see that, John. All right. This was our blueprint for this morning. All right. So just forget about the PMZ. And I want you just to concentrate from this standpoint. So I told the room this morning, this is the chop. This is the liquidity grab area, if you will. Liquidity means that the market, in order for it to continue to push in the direction to the upside or downside, they have to take money from you and me. The bigger players are taking money from you and me. And I want you to be able to identify these levels to keep you out from losing your money with everyone else. Now, the reason why they build liquidity is so that they can afford to push that price even higher or lower. These were the levels I gave out to the team this morning on these dotted white lines. You could see we're completely chopping between these two areas, just as planned. Now, why would this be a big deal to you? Because if you like to sell credit or iron condors, you can come into the trendy trading room here at Simpler and you can say, hey, I like John's levels. I think I'll sell some credit around those. Okay. Okay, well, John's bullish. He's looking for a level to the upside. I can buy some debit spreads around it. I can structure a butterfly around it. Hey, I'll just buy calls as long as that lower level does not get violated. That is what a plan and process sound like. Okay. So we're always prepped before the morning starts. We understand and have a good idea of where we believe price is going to, kind of chill out or where it's going to move. And if it doesn't, who cares? Just try not to speculate. It's all about if this, then that. If price can hold the 1 hour cloud, that is this guy right here. Okay, that's an EMA cloud. If it can hold here, then we expect it to just move sideways. And if it can build above the 4209, okay, and close there today, it looks better for the bulls. If for some reason we go down and we start to close underneath the 1 hour cloud, then we're looking for a move into the 95, which we've already done, by the way, and then down to 4189 and possibly 4180. Okay. If this, then that. So, what are my favorite times to trade with the watch list that I showed you as well? My favorite times to trade, folks, are in the morning. And then from there, I feel like it's really important to just kind of hang out and manage your trades if you feel like it. Or let's talk about winning that time back and going to do something that you really like to do. That's what supply and demand trading is able to do for you. You have zones, you understand where stops are, you are okay with your risk before you execute a trade. And then between the stop and the target, you live your life. Okay. You live your life. And all of you are different. Not everybody lives on the water, not everybody lives in the mountains. Depending on you, whatever you like to do, whatever your lifestyle is all about, you can still enjoy it and still trade. All right. Makes me really sad when I hear folks say, "Oh, I don't have time." Guys, if you say that to yourself, then you need to check out supply and demand. That is where the edge comes from. If you have at least 30 minutes to sit down, look at a chart, put some boxes around some formations, listen, and put that stuff together, it's going to be awesome for you. Okay. Yeah. So I trade SPX. Now, listen, Lori, that's a great question. We use the ES blueprint for SPX and SPY and the micros. There's no difference. The only thing that you need to understand on the SPX, so almost every single time I execute SPX trades, it's based off the ES blueprint. Okay. It's based off the ES blueprint. All right. So, for example, that's a great question too. You just need to know the ratios. So, Lori, like, do you know the ratio between your ES and your SPX and all that? And if you don't, that's okay. We can come over here. Let me see here. We come right here. Let's scroll down, and I am going to freeze. Okay, so it's very important that you do. So, do you like trading SPX, Lori? Okay. So you definitely need to know this. Let's go ahead and freeze the screen really quick. Now, you guys have heard of quad witching and, um, um, OPEX and all that stuff, right? Well, typically around that time frame, you'll see the ratio change quite a bit. So you always need to be um, paying attention. So, anyways, I froze the screen, and I want you to notice that the ES futures are at 4209.25. All right, and if we come over here and look at the SPX, notice the difference. We're at 4196.86. So what is the difference between this number and that number, right? That's what you should be looking at. All right. So roughly we're about what? 15 points? Let's just say 15 points. Okay. You need to know that. So when we are trading, for example, if we were looking at trending today, and so you see we got that pop this morning, and let's say first thing this morning, you're like, hey, I'm going to go long over the PMZ. Okay. You could look to go long here as soon as it breaks. All right. You just need to know the ratio difference. And what we do know right now is that it's 15 points. So it's lagging about 15 points from here. So for example, Lori, let me see if you guys are paying attention. Lori, you don't have to be the only one that answers, but somebody answer for me. If this is my target by the end of the day, what would SPX be at? Go. If that's my target, good. 4,200. Mark, 4,200. Mikey, 4,200. That's right. So we're about 15 points off. So what you don't want to do, right? What you don't want to do is buy an SPX 4215 call. What you don't want to do is like position a butterfly around 4215 on SPX because it's 15 points different. That's all you need to know. All right, here's your next. And nobody from our membership, please do not answer this because I already know you guys should know. What is the difference or what is the ratio between ES and SPY? In every 10 points, what is it in the SPY? Anybody know? 1 to 10. Great, Tom. So if the ES pushes 10 points, how much should my SPY go up? $1. That's exactly right. Everybody got that? The ratio is about 10. Okay. So if you're trading, okay, the PMZ, all right, and in this example, let's just go over here because it's kind of messy this morning. All right, so this is your PMZ from last week. Worked really well on Friday. It was a great short. I believe a lot of traders did well there. But if you were looking to go short here on SPX or the ES, and let's say that this automated level right here was your target, okay? So 42.11, we go short at 42.23. You do the math, okay? I want you to understand this really quick. Let's put some levels around this, okay? Right there. The difference between these two levels is your risk. So your risk on Friday was about 2.5, okay? So let's do this math really quick. If your risk was 2.5 on the ES, what is your risk on the SPY going short? Exactly, 25 cents. So if I went short with an option delta 50, let's just say a delta 50 or a delta 30, then you can do the math and you can figure out how much money you're going to lose if you get stopped out. Okay. Now, I don't want to make this a session about how to trade my PMZ. We do that quite a bit, but just understand that we can go short under here using SPX, SPY, micros. It doesn't matter. This is why I freaking love the ES futures. I've been doing this for many years, and I thought way back in the day, why not just be a master of the ES futures and be able to teach people how to trade 3 or 4 different instruments? And what's so crazy, folks, is I show people how to trade almost anything in the stock market based off of the ES futures. That's what's super cool about it. So basically, this is like the name that has to be on my watch list. Has to be. Okay. All right. So, yes, it was 25 cents, Dana. So your risk is 25 cents. So check this out. If we went short SPY here and your risk was 25 cents and this automated target that I have here is 42.11. So do the math here. All right. So if you pull out a calculator and you just say 23, okay, minus 11, so 12. All right. So 25 cents of risk and you get $1.20 reward. Folks, I don't know about you, but that risk to reward is amazing. All right. And I could show you many, 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 many examples of how well this can work out for you, whether it's options, futures, whatever. But as of right now, that's how we can trade the ES using the SPY and SPX. So hopefully that kind of helps you out, guys, on your, understanding, as far as SPY and SPX go. So hopefully that helps you out, Lori. And Dana, I think you asked the same question. Favorite trade setup on indices the week after OPEC. So here's the thing, Earl. Nothing really bothers me, literally. So I love OPEX. I love when Jerome is getting on the mic. Everybody knows that about me. Okay. I do not steer away. You got to understand that those are catalysts to push price into supply and demand. Folks, I'm telling you right now, it should be your favorite day. For some reason, people just like don't like to trade on Fed day. Supply and demand traders, completely different. Let me just kind of give you a demonstration. We find the zones, okay, before anybody jumps on the mic or before any of that type of stuff. We find you two zones, okay. Now, typically, what's going to happen is that one of these zones, most of the time, have already been tested. So I'll kind of show you that real quick. They kind of pop up here, they drop back down, they do something like that, then they pop back up, and then we're about right here, and then they drop a news catalyst. I don't care what it is, unexpected, expected, it does not matter. Price will move, boom. It'll come into supply. People will get super euphoric. We go and look at our time frames, a little bit smaller time frames. We look at the TTM squeeze. We have a plan. We are excited to trade. And then what we're looking for is the fade here. And as everybody else starts to get scared, retail traders start to get out of their positions. Lo and behold, things start to move up. We're looking at our TTM Squeeze Pro. We're looking to take the trade, and we just took that fear from somebody else. And now we're about to sell to somebody who is taking too long to execute a trade. If you find yourself at the opposite end of what I'm talking about, I would highly, highly recommend you guys come check us out. All right. The proof is there. We do this almost every single day. We do really well at our intraday trading. Scout, swing trading has been a little bit harder this year, but I do it a little bit different. We won't go into that. I hold for a long period of time. And I also like to add into my positions, which is really fun. But yeah. Yeah. So the trades that I came in with today that are working out is Tesla. Is at about 200 and something percent, and then I rolled into more Tesla, and those are up about 13%. J&J I came in with, and then PMZ trades that I took today was just a quick trade up here, and I only netted where are we at? Extra Trader, 150 bucks on this. So it's been pretty choppy, but still, guys, it's like it's one trade made 150 bucks. It's whatever, you know. So yeah, I haven't been super active. Matter of fact, Anna Marie, great question though. Go back and watch our broad market analysis, and hopefully that will help you out. Please, please watch that if you want to learn more about what I do and how I do things. It was sent here in the free trading room. So if you go up to the alerts, it says right here, it's the only alert in here. Get ready for the week. Click on that YouTube right there. Check it out. And if you guys are interested, please come back and check us out. But that's all I have for right now. I'm going to jump off. Okay. I really appreciate y'all. Have a great day.